walking from the car to the door. I'm like, bitch, I'm about to die. Like, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sharday. Most people call me Shardazy, and if you are new here, welcome. My channel focuses on now mom tips, mom things, entrepreneurship, and fashion. So if that's something you're interested in, please subscribe, like, and comment. As you can see by the title of this video, it is about my labor and delivery story. I'm gonna say if I touch my boobs, it's because they feel like bricks. But yeah, so if you are interested, please keep watching. So y'all, if you watched any of my videos or if you know me, you know I did not want to have a hospital birth at all. I don't like being in hospitals. I don't really trust doctors like that. I think they do really what's best for them, not necessarily what's best for you. I will tell you guys about or I don't know if I did in my other video, but I was initially seeing an OB before I found my birth center. And the man I was seeing was just so rude, was not listening to me at all, to the point where I would be talking and he would completely cut me off and talk to his assistant. And that just solidified the fact that I didn't want to be in the hospital system. So I found my birth center, which I loved. So fast forward to I was 35 weeks. I think you guys, if you watch my video, flipping a breech baby. So my baby was a breech at 34 weeks, I think. And she had flipped back up, supposedly. I don't know. Supposedly she flipped back up. So she was not breech. I was really excited. And then I go back for 36 weeks. She was back breech. And breech means that her head is up here. So basically she's standing straight up when for labor, she's supposed to be doing a handstand. So at 36 weeks, I'm like, okay, I got 4-ish weeks, but most first time moms go to like, I want to say like 41 weeks. So I'm like, okay, I got a little bit of time. So I tried all the techniques that I did before to flip her. So the spinning babies tips where you do the inversions or inversions, whatever. You do cat-cow, stuff like that. Did all of those. I even went in for, I think it's called an Inversion, like an ECV. I don't know what it's called. I'll link it somewhere. But basically, they give you some medicine to relax your uterus. And then the doctor tries to flip the baby from the outside. And we tried that, but it was so uncomfortable that I'm like, at this point, it's in God's hands, because it was really uncomfortable. Like, they have to push like really hard to like push her down. And at some point I'm like, okay, if she's not flipping down, it's for a reason. So I just have to come to grips with that. So by the time I went back to my birth center, it was like 38 weeks, or I was 37 weeks, and they're like, all right, Sharday, you need to start thinking about what you want to do, because in Texas, they don't allow midwives to deliver breech babies, even though they are trained to do that. They think it's not safe, and then most doctors aren't trained to deliver breech babies. And I will say, I had to ask myself, am I scared of a C-section because I'm being selfish? Like, am I being selfish thinking, oh, recovery, I'm gonna have this cut through my stomach, like stuff like that, like thinking about me as opposed to thinking about my baby. And I also had to ask myself, because there are home midwives or midwives that do home births, and they specialize in doing breech babies, like delivering them. And I also had to ask myself, okay, Sharday, you ain't never had no baby, so not only are you about to have a baby for the first time, are you also going to push out a baby that's going to be butt first? Like, anything could have happened. She could have got stuck. Like, literally anything could have happened. So I really had to be like, all right, Sharday, what are you going to do? So initially my plan was to just wait it out. Usually if you're going to do a C-section, I think they want you to around 39 weeks. So I was 37 weeks, 38 weeks, went back to my appointment, she still breech. 39 weeks, went back to my appointment, she still breech. And I was due on October 11th. And so Friday, I think, was the 8th. I was due Monday. So Friday, I think, was the 8th. Yeah, I think that was the 8th. They're like, I'm at my appointment. They're like, Sharday, what are you going to do? Because I was going to just go into labor and just see if she flipped on her own. Because who knows? Obviously, you don't just have your baby on your due date. So I could have went over and then she could have flipped. But also another Texas law is that first time mom, or not first time moms, just moms can't go over, I think it's like 41 or 42 weeks. Otherwise, you have to have a C-section. So I was also, I feel like ultimately a C-section was what was gonna happen because if I would have waited it out, I could have still went over. So even if she did flip, they would have still made me have a C-section or go to the hospital. But so I was like, all right, I'm gonna wait it out, see if I go into labor, and then just hope that she flips. And if she doesn't, I'll just go have an emergency C-section. But the more I thought about that, I'm like, okay, Sade, you're putting people in a bind. And I don't really like the idea because I'm like, why would I even go into labor if I'm gonna have a C-section anyway? That's kind of stupid to me. But also, then I would just have to rush over to this hospital, and they didn't even initially take my insurance until I got my insurance card. So that would have been a whole issue. Of course they would have did it, but I would have got some crazy ridiculous bill, which I did still, and I will get into that as well. But I would have had to have some random doctor in a rush come do all, it's just would have been too much. So literally the Friday before I was due, I was like, okay, I guess I'm just about to go meet with this doctor. Thankfully, she's like 15 minutes away from me. And so I went to meet with her. She was fine. I mean, we meet, you're about to cut my stomach open. Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird, I guess. But it was nice to meet her, so I have more comfort as opposed to just some random doctor coming in there. Don't know me. I really wasn't comfortable with that. So I met her, and then she scheduled it for Monday morning. So Monday morning, or the night before, I couldn't eat. You can't eat after midnight, I think. So didn't eat. I will say when I first really came to grips with the fact that I had to have a C-section, I was devastated, like literally devastated, because not only did I pay out of pocket I paid like $6,000 out of pocket to be at the birth center, but also I just didn't want to have C-section. Like, I didn't want to be at a hospital at all. So the fact that I had a C-section was really devastating. But I think by the time I really came to grips with it, I'm like, all right, whatever. So I really didn't feel nervous until we got there, and I was more nervous about this epidural. I don't know why. I was so terrified of this epidural. So morning of, C-section is scheduled for 10:30. We get there at like 7:30 or 8:30, and we get in and check in. They give me an IV going. I burst out into tears because I'm like, what the fuck? I gotta get my stomach cut open. I'm not excited for this, and I gotta get epidural, and I'm not excited for that either. I was so scared. So my boyfriend's like, you need to relax. Like, it's gonna be fine. I'm like, whatever. But so get there, get checked in, get an IV, and then I meet all the people that'll be in the room with you. It's a lot of people. Like, it's like at least 8 people, and then there's my boyfriend and I, obviously. But so they're like, all right, Sade, it's time. So I'm like, so we they pushed me back to the room where they would do it. It was like this bright light, like you're about to go to heaven. Like, the brightest light you can think of is how bright this room is. And they get me ready for the epidural, which is really not bad at all. I didn't feel it. Like, I was stunned. I was like, dang, I was so nervous for this epidural, and I didn't even feel it. It does feel weird when they put it in, because they'll be like, all right, you're gonna twitch, and then you twitch, and they're like, all right, now you should feel the right side. You twitch. It's like the weirdest like feeling, but then you're numb, and it's so weird. Like, after, I was still numb, obviously, and I'm like watching my feet move, or I'm watching people move my feet, but like I literally can't feel it. It was the weirdest thing. But anyway, so get the epidural, lay me back. I'm not panicked. They let me put on my Janae Aiko, which really helps me calm down. My boyfriend's right there, thankfully. He was just talking to me, trying to like make sure I don't panic, because he knows I would panic. But so they start doing it, and it's just like really strange, because you can feel them like pushing a little bit. Like, I really didn't feel much. They did warn me about the smell, because obviously your stomach is cut open, so it did smell a little strange. But I would say it took about 10 to 15 minutes, if that, to get her out. and my baby comes out pooping because she came out butt first. So her butt comes out and she's literally pooping as they're pulling her out of me. I'm like, this girl was chilling, y'all. She was in there chilling. I'm sure I would have went like way over my due date because she was literally just in there chilling. And let me just back up. The appointment that was the Friday before my C-section, they're like, oh, she's gonna be 9 pounds. I'm like, what? 9? Who? Why? That was a lie. She only was 7 pounds. So she comes out, she's 7 pounds. And it's so weird because they have this curtain over you and they just hold the baby up like Simba and then hand her off to, I think, a nurse. And then my boyfriend ended up having her. So I'm like laying there like, all right. It's just really strange. So after that, they bring her to me, which is even more awkward because I think the curtains started, I think under my boobs, like right under my boobs, the curtain starts. So they're putting a baby like right here while you're laying down. Can't see. I'm worried that I'm about to suffocate her because I can't see her face. So she's laying like right there. And I'm like, okay, awkward. They're sewing me up. And then they wheel you to the recovery room, which was fine. One weird thing was that we wanted to bring my dog a receiving blanket that she was wrapped in so he could have her sent when like my boyfriend's gonna come check on him. We're not from Texas, so we didn't have anybody to babysit him. But so my boyfriend wanted to bring this blanket back so he could have her sent, and they're like, oh, you have to sneak out with it because you're not supposed to take these out of the hospital. And I'm like, that's stupid. Anyways, so recovery room, I'm there for a bit. Everything's fine, we're fine. And then they wheel you to the room you'll be in. And the first 2 nurses I had were really nice. First off, they come check on you every 2 hours, which is very irritating. And then whenever they give you medicine, they have to watch you take it. So I would have my baby in one hand, this full cup that they keep giving me to the brim. So I'm like, how can I even drink this and take medicine? And they're like, oh, we have to watch you. I'm like, I don't have enough hands to be doing all this. But anyways, so yeah, they give you ibuprofen every 3 hours, and then Norcos, whatever, every hour or so. But I refused it most of the time, especially the first day, because I was numb like pretty much all day, and I still had a catheter in, and I didn't get to feel the catheter get put in me, but I did feel it get taken out, and it's a strange sensation, but it doesn't hurt. But I love the catheter because I didn't have to worry about getting up. They took this catheter out, and then they're like, oh, you got to go pee on your own. My numbness wore off by nighttime, and getting up to pee was the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole entire life. Like, I'm not even kidding. It just hurt so bad. And I'm not a medicine taking kind of girl, so most of the time I refuse the Norcos. I think that's what it's called, or Norco. But I hate how medicine makes me feel. It makes me feel nauseous, especially something that strong. So when I had to get up, like, I didn't think I was gonna die, but it was not. It was like really hard. So it took me like at least, I would say, almost an hour to get from, sorry y'all can hear that, but it took me almost an hour to get from the bed to the bathroom, which was like, I would say it probably took like 20-25 steps, if that, to actually get there. So it took a very long time for me to get there. And I asked them if they could give me a walker because I'm like, bitch, I can't walk. And they're like, no. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I cannot walk. But so the first day and a half was fine. The other half, to the second day, I got the most annoying nurses. They tried to give my baby a bath at 2 in the morning. I'm like, no. Why? Y'all have all day. No, you're not doing that. And then they will also just ask me dumbass questions, which was really pissing me off. And it got to the point where I'm like, can y'all call my doctor? Because you have to get checked out by your doctor. Call her, send me home. And they were taking forever. Like, I started crying because I'm like, I want to go home. I feel like at some point I was just there just because I'm like, y'all not helping me walk. Like, I can figure this stuff out with my baby. Like, I can do that, but I don't know how to walk. So if y'all not gonna help me learn how to walk, send me home. But at one point, my boyfriend was coming back and forth from our house because our house isn't far from the hospital, from our house to the hospital, because we have a dog that was home by himself overnight for a few nights for the first time. And I had 4 nurses overall. I would say the last nurse is like, do you have any help at home? She's like, do you have any help at home? I'm like, yeah, my boyfriend. And she just kept asking that. I'm like, you've only been in here for like 4 hours and yet you haven't seen him, because I sent him home to check on my dog, because that's what I'm requesting. So don't come in here just like making assumptions or judgments about what I do or don't have going on. That really irritated me. And at one point too, I was like standing up, but I was kind of just slumped over. I don't even know what it was. It was something tall that I could stand up, but I was like slumped over it. And she's like, oh, you should be walking by now, standing up straight. I'm like, I just got my stomach cut open. I don't care who you've seen do that. This ain't that. Like, this is, I feel like these doctors and stuff make it seem like you should just be up, moving around. Like, bro, y'all literally cut my stomach open and sewed it back shut. I'm not used to not being able to use my ab muscles. Like, and I don't know how women are always like, oh, I was up moving. I'm not, and that's great for you, but no, I was not up moving. So she was really pissing me off. So I'm like, you know what, just send me home. And mind you, I had peed on the floor in the damn hospital because I was trying to get to the bathroom, couldn't get there fast enough. So it was really, really terrible. And then we come home, and who would have thought it got worse? We come home and I think, okay, so I made it up the stairs pretty fine. Think I'm about to get in the shower, y'all. They send you home with this like band. It's kind of like a waist trainer, but not. Actually, I have it right here. I need to throw it away. But anyways, they send you home with this band and it wraps around you. So I get in this bathroom thinking I'm about to just hop my ass in the shower, because I hadn't showered in like 3 days, I think. Y'all, took this band off. It felt like my body was falling apart, to the point where I'm in the bathroom crying, but it hurts to cry. Everything hurt. It hurt to laugh, it hurt to cough, it hurt to sneeze, it hurt to cry. So I'm in there crying, but trying not to cry. And then my boyfriend comes in like, what is wrong with you? And that made me cry more, but I'm like, I can't be crying because this stuff hurts, so we'll worry about this later. So he just like washed me up, thankfully. I don't know how people do this stuff alone. Thankfully, he washed me up, standing up. I didn't get in the shower. I couldn't even move barely, but I definitely couldn't lift my legs up to get in the shower. So he washed me up, and then I just got back in the bed and was like, I'm gonna try life again the next day, because that was very hard. And I know people don't think you should co-sleep, whatever, but we co-slept. We still co-sleep, but there was no way I could get up and pick up a baby every 2 hours, because newborns have to eat every 2 to 3 hours. So anyways, following that, I think like the next day, my birth centers sent a postpartum nurse, which I was really thankful for her. She just reminded me that I really do need to take, wait, before that, the next day, actually, we had to take my baby to the pediatrician, which was the next worst day of my life, because walking from the car to the door, I'm like, bitch, I'm about to die. Like, to the point where the people from the pediatrician are coming out to try to help me walk, because my boyfriend has the baby. It was just like, I couldn't walk. I really couldn't walk for like quite some time. But fast forward a few days later, they sent a postpartum nurse, which was really helpful. And she reminded me that I really need to be taking ibuprofen every 3 hours, and then the Norcos every other hour, because she's like, this is not pain that you can just fight through. And I don't know why I thought I could, but I think it's more so because I don't like taking medicine. And so once she reminded me that, I'm like, all right, Sharda, you need to start taking medicine. And then I had that band on for like at least 3 or 4 days at that point, like being outside the hospital. So she took it off. She helped me get it off, thankfully, because I was terrified to take it off after that first time. And then I just made sure I took medicine before I took a shower. And taking the shower felt like such an accomplishment, because I'm like, that first day when I came home and thought I was about to die was because I was about to take a shower. So I was so happy I could take a shower, y'all. Like, oh my god, I mean, showers are my. I used to take baths a lot, but I haven't really taken baths because I was pregnant. But showers are my like little sanctuary. I do my candles, I do my music, take a hot shower. So the fact that I couldn't was hard. So then once I could, I was literally so happy I could take a shower. Um, and then from that, I just really kept up with my medicine, and my doula, she's really like one of my best friends, but she was just telling me like a wound takes 10 days to heal. And so I just kept that in mind. So I'm like, you know what? It's going to get better at some point. And there were really a lot of hard days because I'm telling you, sneezing, it feels like your stomach's getting ripped open, and that is not fun. And then having my boyfriend really had to take care of me, the baby, and the dog because I couldn't get up and move around really. Only thing I was doing was going to the bathroom. And I'm really thankful for so many people because a lot of people sent us food, which was really helpful. And then my doula did end up coming down. And she was so helpful. Oh my gosh, she cleaned our house. Let's start there. She cleaned, she cooked, she bought us a vacuum. She was really amazing, and I'm so thankful for her. And her husband and their son came. And then following that, my boyfriend's cousin came, and she was helpful. Even because she just held the baby for like a few hours while we ate and then took a nap. So that was really nice. And then my other friend came down and cleaned more, and it was just really nice to have a village, even though we're so far away, because it would have been rough. Like, I was telling my boyfriend before, I'm like, I want to hire somebody to clean our house, and he's like, no, why would we do that? Why would we spend money on that? And then once people start coming and cleaning, he's like, oh, okay, I see what you mean. I'm like, yeah, because me being down bad and not cleaning, and you trying to help all of us, no one's cleaning here. So it was really nice to have all those people, but it was especially nice to have my boyfriend because he was so helpful. I tell him all the time, I'm so thankful because it would have been a wrap. It would have been the end of Sade as y'all knew it if he wasn't around. So I think that covered everything. That is my labor and delivery story. I delivered my baby on my due date, so I was 40 weeks. She was 7 pounds 1 ounce, and I love her so much. And people are always like, oh, like, yeah, your C-section sucked, or recovery. The actual C-section, you don't feel anything, but the recovery sucked for me. They're like, oh, it sucked, but you got your baby. And I'm like, those things are separate to me. Like, I don't associate the pain I was in with my child. Like, I'm not like, oh, this is your fault. Like, I don't even think about that. But I am conscious of, like, that was a really hard time in my life. Like, that was really hard. And truthfully, it makes me not want to have any more kids. I'm not gonna hold you. I might have one more once I've completely forget about this in like 4 years, which I don't even think I will. Like, that was a really hard time. But outside of that, I am happy to have a healthy baby, because who knows what would have happened if she would have been forced to flip down somehow. Like, I don't know, anything could have happened. So that is my labor and delivery story. Thank you so much. No, that's not the end. My hospital bill, $32,000. I'm like, what cost $32,000? Like, thank God I have insurance. And I have private insurance, which I got like a month before I had my baby, thankfully, because if I hadn't, that would have been part 2 of the end of Sade as you know it. I truly don't know what cost that much. Probably just been in the hospital, but I really don't think. Hospitals, that's another reason why I wanted to have an out of hospital birth, because the cost is literally ridiculous. But anyway, so that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.